Good morning, Suzanne. For everybody watching, this is Suzanne Fells. Suzanne Fells is a professional photographer. Thank you for joining me, Suzanne.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. It's great to be here. I'm quite nervous, but hopefully it'll be fine.
It's because you're used to being on the other side of the camera, Suzanne. That's why.
True.
Suzanne has done my professional photographs over the last few years, and we've just recently had another shoot in between lockdown because we're currently in that 2020 year. So we took the opportunity not long back to get my photographs up to date. And as such, I wanted to bring Suzanne on to discuss the importance of having a professional image, particularly when you are in business or you're looking for a new job, you're on that career path, because as Suzanne knows only too well, in fact, I'll go over to you, Suzanne. Please tell us the importance of a professional image, especially in today's world of social media.
Sarah, the professional image has always been important, but especially today because we're all on social media now. We have profiles online and we look for work online. But I'll say one thing that's really, really important and key to understand is that 2/3 of us make decisions on photographs before we've even read a word of text. So I'm just going to say that again because it's quite a difficult thing to get your head around. That 70% of the population will make a decision on a photograph before they've even read anything about you. So if you've got a profile online or somebody's searching LinkedIn to maybe offer you a job, the first thing they're going to make a decision on is how you look in that photograph. So it needs to be strong and it needs to say all the right things for you.
Absolutely. And I was having a similar discussion about your image on Zoom interviews and things like that. And it's that image. Before you've even opened your mouth, you are conveying who you are in terms of how you've presented yourself, and it is so very, very important. And obviously I've alluded to the fact that we've recently had a photo shoot together, and that's what you do. You work with people and create their personal brand, don't you? And I mean, expand a little bit more about that, what people need to think about when they are presenting themselves on on professional photographs on social media platforms.
I think that the thing that's really important at the moment is that most of us can't meet face to face. We'd normally go in a room, we'd go to a networking event, or we'd meet people for a face to face meeting. And of course, now we're all online. We're so much online this year, everything's changed. So it's so important that you don't have that chance to get your personality across in the old-fashioned way of actually meeting somebody and having a coffee and having a chat. So it's so important to get your professional photographs to reflect all of that, which we can do, and they do. And you know how it was when we made photographs of you, Sarah. We made lots of engaging pictures with lots of different messages in. Some were a bit more formal, so they would talk more for your recruitment business, and some were a little bit more informal that said something more personal about you, like in the garden and with a big shawl wrapped around you that would indicate and perhaps tell somebody something about how you are and how you look when you work from home. So these are all the images that we can use to represent ourselves online truthfully and accurately when we can't actually go out there and meet people. So yeah, they're really important.
Absolutely. And so for somebody who's in the market for looking for a new job, they are active, or that maybe they're not even active, but they are looking at this video on YouTube, and they haven't got a LinkedIn profile, or they've got a LinkedIn profile that's not really doing very much. I mean, we've together been exploring, you more so than myself, LinkedIn more recently, because it has become such a powerhouse of connectivity for people in business and for recruiters and hiring managers, and that image that goes on there and the connections that you can make and build up, and you can use those images that have been created to go with the stories that you're telling or the posts that you're putting up. So like you were saying, it conveys it's not that you have to do it every day, but it helps build up that engagement, and people know who you are and what you're looking for. And like you've said, if you've got a good image that conveys that, but not everybody has or is in the position to go and have obviously a session with yourself. If somebody's looking for a new job, it may be because they've been made redundant, they're out of work, they've been furloughed, so therefore cost is sort of an important element to them. So what advice would you give anybody who may not be able to go and suddenly buy a stock of professional photographs, but what could they do themselves from home?
The first thing I would say, if possible, try and afford and buy yourself a little tripod that you can put your iPhone or your Android phone on, because when you're taking selfies, you've always got a certain angle, you've got your arm, and you're generally shooting from above or weird angles that just don't look professional. Whereas if you can put your camera on the tripod, you can then stand back, you can adjust your direction, your settings, and you can get it just right as well. I'd always say, make sure you look straight through the camera, straight at the person you want to engage with. Look friendly. Try not to look too beautiful, because if you look too beautiful, people think you're too obsessed and too concerned about how you look. Oh, that person looks so beautiful, but are they actually going to work for me? Are they actually going to concentrate for long enough? You look through the lens because you want to engage and you want to look interested. If you look away from the lens, then you can look dismissive, or you can look like you're not bothered. Other things you can do is look all the way around the frame. You know, as we did this morning when we set up this meeting together, we were like, okay, let's check all the edges of the frame. Let's see exactly what's there, because tiny little bits and pieces can jump into your photographs and say all the wrong things about you. I recently did a Zoom with a lady, and she was all about tidying and keeping the house tidy, and that was kind of her business. And yet there was a laundry basket in the background right on the edge of the frame, and I was like, I just wanted to say, you're saying all the right things, you've got a brilliant business, but I can see this laundry basket. So just be really careful what you actually want to include in those photographs. And try and get your head in the frame for about 60 or 70% of the actual frame, because the closer in you are, the more we can see you. And especially if that picture's then cropped down to be your headshot for your portrait page, people need to engage with your eyes and your smiles. So if you're too distant, they're not going to see that, and then they won't connect.
Yes, we had this very discussion, didn't we? Once my photographs had been done, and I created my image on LinkedIn and updated that, and he said, no, bring it in and make it more close, and go, okay. so yes, it has that impact, because it fits into that looks like a heart, fits into that thumbnail, doesn't it? The sort of the icon, then when you're making posts and things like that, it stands out.
And tell me if I'm wrong, do we not talk to that picture when we're writing text, when we're actually online? I look at your face as I'm writing to you. So if I can't see your face, that connection is actually lost, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what's a really interesting point? Because obviously I've been more active on LinkedIn, which is the main sort of business platform, more recently. And yes, you do. You get an image of that person because you are looking at that icon all the time that is there, that symbol of the person that you are. So that is so important. And if you haven't got the right, well, let's just keep on using LinkedIn as a platform at the moment, because there is that sort of head and shoulders silhouette that so many people just leave their LinkedIn profile as, which isn't great. And then you've got sort of the photographs that maybe that people have got with wine glasses or things like that, and it gives all the wrong images, it gives all the wrong impressions.
And do you ever find, and I always say you must update your photograph every 5 years, and I'm a stickler for this, and I always give you, well, actually I don't give you stick about it, because you always come back to me and say, Suzanne, it's time now, it's time, and it usually is, because our features drastically change over 5 years. And if you've been having a conversation with somebody and they've not changed their photograph for 20 years, and then suddenly you meet them, you go, oh, and it's almost like you're meeting somebody completely different. And don't you feel just like a little bit cheated too? I feel always like somebody's like lied a little bit to me, because, they're different, we all get older. It doesn't matter. What's important is how we look now, and that we're nice and we're kind, and, and people will connect with us for that reason.
Absolutely. And that's like you say, and it is that you're building up that rapport with that person, even if you've not actually spoken to them. Exactly. I mean, it's just as an example, the people that are in the group that we're in within LinkedIn, we've got a small little group of people. I've not spoken to any of the people on there apart from yourself, but I feel that I know them because that image is there. It's a great photograph, and the communication that we've had is brilliant. And you know, you feel like you know that person. And I know there's somebody that you've just recently done a sort of an update on photograph wise, and wow, what a difference. It's like, oh wow, she looks completely different now.
And she really does. She does look different, doesn't she?
Yeah.
For all
So
the right
yeah,
she
so
looks
it's so
special.
important, isn't it? That sort of conveying that image and then to use that. So even if you are out there looking for a job and costs, is important, you can do things at home on your phone for a very minimal cost. And if you can't, you haven't got the money to buy a tripod. I mean, not that they're overly expensive, but if you haven't, get somebody to hold the photograph. Get somebody to take the picture for you.
Yes. And try and use natural light. I didn't talk about natural light because I think bringing in your own light, and I know you and I both bring in our own studio lights for our sets, but that can be expensive and not everybody has that money and doesn't have that expertise. But, try and use the best light is actual natural light. So if you can find a corner of a room where it's near a window, so you've got some nice natural light, just check that it's not too harsh or too severe. Or if there's a nice area outside in the garden, use that. Just, use what you have, be creative, but don't make your pictures too busy. Make it all about you.
Yeah, so that you are that central focus.
Exactly. You don't want to get somebody looking at what's behind your shoulder. They want to be engaging with you.
Absolutely. So as you said, and looking straight at the screen. So what would you say what are your top 3 tips then for anybody with their professional photographs?
In terms of using them online?
Well, yes. Either sort of taking them or using them online, or just generalistically, what is so important about having a professional photograph, where they should use it and how they should use it?
Okay, first of all, your professional photographs should be updated on your website, because that is the core place, the one place that people will go to check you out. They'll have a great conversation with you, but as we know, there's all sorts of people watching us in the background who don't particularly connect with us until we look right for them. We're a good fix, a good sort of fit for them. So your site should always be up to date with professional photographs. Up to date photographs will make you look contemporary, will make you look current. If your photographs are outdated, then people will think your business is outdated. So that would be the first thing. Then obviously,
would you say that's true? Because I mean, that's very much from a business perspective, but would you say that's true for, because you mentioned that outdated, which I thought was quite interesting, for people generally on their social media platforms, or because obviously people have Instagram as well as they have the LinkedIn and things like that, to actually have, because that same thing is conveyed, isn't it? If you've got an old photograph, it looks outdated.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think your photographs, they should be current, they should be on message, so you need to decide what your message needs to be. Whether you're actually, obviously there's all sorts of social media channels. I mean, I am particularly LinkedIn. I do pretty much everything on LinkedIn, and so I'm really pushing sort of the expert advice for businesses on how to use that. But yeah, I mean, whatever you use it for, just be on message and just be current, though. Be mindful of everything that's in your photograph. Be mindful of how you dress. And this goes back to, if you're actually applying for a job, dress like the company that you want to join. Mirror the employer. You know this. You tell people this, I'm sure, as part of the interview process. And if you don't know, have a look at them online and look at their headshots and look at how they look and how they dress. And make sure, you are getting those messages across to connect to your market. So I think it's doing the research on your avatar and knowing who that avatar is, and then you'll be able to adjust how you make those images to actually attract that avatar. Whether it's, a more of a personal message for a more of a domestic client, more of a social client, or whether it's a business client. So yeah, do your research. There's plenty of information out there.
Yeah, as I'm saying, because as you were saying, it's about taking a mix, a variety of images, isn't it, to use at different times, so people can see you. The photographs we took, I was either in casual clothing or a pink jumper, or a shawl wrapped around me, or suited and booted. And I mix them up when I use them on social media. I mean, obviously I'm in business, but even if you're not in business specifically, you've not got your own business, I should say, but you're working for an organization, the same thing is true, because you've got your your business face, but you aren't just a suit. Get your personality across, which is
just be mindful what you put out on your Facebook, because your employers will check you out, as we know.
Yes, set your privacy settings.
Yeah. So be very careful.
Exactly. Oh, thank you ever so much, Suzanne. That was some great advice, some great tips, from, obviously being able to do it at home. And if you can afford it, someone like Suzanne is absolutely brilliant to go and get a selection of photographs have taken those. Oh, I can't even get my words out today. Have a great selection of photographs because you've got stock images that you can use. And as Suzanne said, my last set lasted me about 4 or 5 years, and you're able to keep rolling them out and use them as a LinkedIn post. And when you're doing business or you need to do something for business, you've got images that you can then provide to your organization that you perhaps have done, or wherever you're going. You can use them on your CV, you can use them on the job boards, wherever you're going. You've got a set of stock images that are going to convey you and who you are. And as you've said right at the very beginning, people make a decision based on that image.
They do. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It really is that simple and that crucial. It really is.
Absolutely. And if you really would like to have some professional photographs done with the wonderful Suzanne, who I can wholly and highly recommend, how do people get in touch with you, Suzanne?
Oh, Christ, my website is suzannefellsphotography.com, or it's info@suzannefellsphotography.com. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just Google my name, I'll come up. If you're struggling because of COVID scenarios, situations, cash flows, I'm also working on a month-by-month payment basis to make it easier for people to get those pro shots. So yeah, just make contact and we can have a chat. So yeah, lovely. Thank you.
That's perfect. And you do obviously a lot of branding photographs, but you also, just as well, just sneak that in here, you're a wedding photographer as well, aren't you?
I am a wedding photographer and I haven't shot a wedding at all this year. Yeah, I have two very separate businesses like yourself, Sarah. I have a domestic contemporary wedding business, and I also have a branding photography business. So two completely different avatars. And of course, the way I will sell my business is I will portray myself very differently to those two different separate clients. Yeah. So through photographs.
And you have images accordingly to use, of course.
Very true.
Oh,
yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much again for sharing those top tips and great advice for anybody that's listening, to really get a good set of photographs put together, whether it's by yourself, someone else, or you do it at home. As long as those images are up to date, they're current, and they convey you in a professional manner, to attract the kind of roles that you're looking for to move forward into. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.